welcome back. How's it going?
Good.
Awesome. So as you may have noticed, bless you, I have put the title of our notes twice. Once big and then once small. I figured that you would like to have the title so you don't have to write it into your notes. So use the big title to glue in to title your note page on where you're actually taking notes. And then you can use the small one for your table of contents. You're very welcome. I still do want you guys to write down the objectives, so please don't forget to write the objectives. They are listed on the projection screen just under the La Feria logo and the title. If you can't read those for whatever reason, they are also listed on the whiteboard just to the left of our projection screen. And if you still can't read that, come on up. I have an extra chair here to my left and to my right now, in case you can't see. As soon as you're done cutting out the top half of the first page of your for the notes, go ahead and put the rest of them off to the side. They will be used over the next week, but not today. I've got all of mine cut out. You should have 2 titles and 7 pictures. I'm going to update my table of contents. I'm going to skip a line, gentlemen. I'm going to skip a line because we had the construction in there that I haven't updated the title for yet. So I'm going to leave a space for that. And then I'm going to flip through my notes until I find, okay, here is that construction. You need to leave room for your KWL. And so my notes for this section are going to begin on the very next page. Get your notes set up. Get your page set up for notes. You will need the 4 very small ones to start off with. Don't glue them down yet. I will tell you where, but those are the ones we're going to start with. Today is the 22nd of September. Please don't forget your objectives. Once again, those objectives are displayed on the overhead projection under the La Feria logo and the title of today's lecture. If you can't read those, they are printed to your left of the projection screen. So don't forget your what and your how objectives. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the first new vocabulary word for the day. This word is acute. Have you heard of this classification for angles?
Yes.
What is it?
Smaller than 90.
Smaller than 90. What's smaller than 90?
Angle.
The angle measure. So we're going to be very specific. Acute angle is an angle with angle measure. Now, you had said that it was less than 90, but is it greater than anything?
Bigger than 0.
Yeah, it has to be bigger than 0. And it has to be less than 90. So we can start talking about angles that have measures somewhere in that range. Find the acute angle in your little tiny ones and get that glued in here. Okay? It doesn't have to be glued in perfectly straight. There we go. Once you get that glued in, give yourself a line. The next new word for the day is the word right. Which one's this one?
90-degree angle.
Yes. This is an angle with angle measure exactly 90 degrees. Not 1 degree more, not 1 degree less. It is exactly 90 degrees. In your small cutouts, find the right angle. Which one is it? The left, the middle, or the right?
With the little box.
The one with the little box inside of it, because that little box is what we use to show
The right angle.
the right angle 90 degrees. Get that glued in. Doesn't matter what direction it's facing.
Just like
The next one is obtuse. What's the measure for an angle that is an obtuse angle? More than 90, but
that's the 180.
less than 180. It's an angle measure that is greater than 90 and less than 180. Find the obtuse angle, the one on the left or the one on the right? The one on the left says he. Go ahead and glue that into your notebook. Again, does not have to be straight horizontally. Give yourself a line. The last classification. Straight. What's the angle measure for a straight angle? 180. Any less? Any more? So it is exactly 180 degrees. Now, as I was doing the research to get you the little cutouts and the pictures and things, I found reference to angles whose measures are more than 180. But I was silly and I forgot to write down the names, so I don't remember the names. I will find those for you. They're going to become important later, and so we'll bring that back and we'll add that in, okay? I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. That's what your notes page should look like at the moment. Bless you. Now we have these 3 pictures left, and so I want you to grab whichever one you want. It does not matter which one you grab. And we're going to remind ourselves how to use the protractor. Show of protractors. Hold up nice and high if you know exactly how to use one. Hold one up kind of in the middle of your face if you're like, I think I know, and then leave it down on the table if you're not sure what to do. Show me your protractors now. Up high, I know exactly how to use it. Bow your head, I kind of remember, but I'm not sure. On the table, we're not sure at all. Okay, so take a quick look around. Those of you who didn't pick up your protractor, you should be sitting next to someone that either had it by their head or way up high, so they can help you. All right, those of you who had it way up high, grab an angle and measure it. Those of you who are a little confused, here's the demo on how you use a protractor. Anyone you want. I'm just going to start with this one. Thank you for asking. Now your protractors are going to have a straight edge and an arced edge, and they usually have two sets of numbers, one on the inside and one on the outside. So looking at my protractor, it depends on where you've put one of the legs of your angle. So if you see from this dot here, from this hole that I have, and then I have this line that comes out of it, and then a matching line over here. If my angle is opening this way, then I'm going to read the inside numbers, 0, 10, 20, 30, and so forth. If my angle, however, opens the other way, trying to do this so that there's no glare, not going to happen. Yeah, that's why there's two sets of numbers. So we'd read along the top. Okay? All right. Let's go ahead and read this one. I'm going to put my vertex, that's what you call this little center point of your angle. Focus! Thank you! My Elmo didn't want to focus. Put your vertex right inside of what I call the vertex finder. And then you see the little leg? You want to try to get it to match up perfectly with your guidelines. Now, I can do it wonderfully on one part, but I have no idea if it's matched up with this one. If that's happening to you, you can grab a little sheet of paper, like the edge of some of the notes you didn't use today. There we go. I lined it up with the leg of my angle. Hang on, I'm going to adjust this because there's too much glare. There we go, that's a little better. And then I'm going to adjust my protractor until it lines up with both of those guidelines. Okay? You got it? Now I'm going to try to read starting at the bottom numbers, but notice as I do that, this leg here isn't long enough to hit the protractor. Yeah, so you can either trace over this with a straight edge. Please make sure you use a straight edge. Or, once again, you can grab some of the paper, some of this trash paper, and put it right up against there. And it looks like it's sitting at about 120 degrees on mine. Do you see it? So we're starting here at 0, and we're going to go like a car speedometer. How fast are we going? 120. Yeah, I am just a little bit. That's about how fast I drive when I'm going to see my dad in Austin. Just saying. Cops, please don't pull me over now. As soon as you have measured your angle, please write its angle degree and then classify it. What kind of angle is this? Obtuse. Please do that with your remaining two angles, and as soon as you have them measured and classified, glue them into the empty space at the bottom of your notes. Again, it doesn't matter how you get these in there. Just make sure that they get into your notes. I have an answer.
What is it that lined up with like between 20 and 30?
45.
Which those numbers?
Yeah, okay, so it's between the 20 and the 30.
Yeah.
So each of these little lines here, let me zoom it in. So each of these little lines are worth 1 degree. So if you start at 20 and you count each little line, 21, 22, 23, 24, that next little big one would be 25.
Okay, that's where it's at.
Okay, so that's where it's at on that 25? All right, there you go. Good job, thank you, thank you. Go ahead and set up the next page for notes. You will need the entire page for this next section. This is the construction piece. So make sure you get those measured. Get them classified and get them glued in so that they don't get lost. Construction steps for congruent angles. This is the name of the next section. So go ahead and title your notes this way. Okay, thank you. Now, using your protractor, the straight edge, I'd like you to please, somewhere here toward the top, give yourself a couple lines of room. I want you to draw for me an angle. I don't care what size. I don't care how it opens. I made mine an acute angle because I felt like being adorable. Get it? Acute. Oh, it was so lame. But ching. All right, you draw one for yourself too. The directions that you will see on homework and on quizzes and tests will be something along the lines of this. Construct an angle congruent to the given angle. You just gave yourself an angle, right? I want you to measure it. Measure this angle. The one that you drew. You're going to have a different number than what I have. I ended up with 43 degrees. You measure yours. It's going to be different. Measure your angle. What'd you get as an angle measure? For the one you drew? Yeah. $115? Okay. Is it an obtuse looking angle or an acute looking angle? It's an acute, yeah, so read the other side. 75, that sounds a little better. We're going to call this angle that we're starting with the pre-image. Okay? So this is our pre-image angle. Okay? So once again, I'm dividing my workspace. Here on the left is the middle section is going to be where we write our steps. Over here is where we're going to be doing our drawing and our construction, and I'm leaving the very left hand for added notes. Step number 1. Draw a ray. I never told you what a ray was, did I?
No.
No, so let's go ahead and define what a ray is right now. So I'm going to underline this word in blue, and over here on the left, we're going to define it. Notice that that vocabulary word is on the same line in your notes, so that way your eye tracks through it. A ray is a piece of a line that has one endpoint, which is different from the line segment, which we studied earlier, that had 2 endpoints. This only has 1. So you're going to start off by drawing that. So go down to your construction workspace on the very right-hand side of your paper. And using your straight edge, draw a ray. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and scoot over so you can see it. This definition will show up again in a moment. So here's my construction space. I'm going to draw a ray. It has to have one endpoint. I'm going to put that down here. And there's my ray, nice and long. Doesn't say how long it needs to be. Okay, so I'm just making sure that it's a little longer than what I started with. Large enough, easy enough to say? All right, step number 2. I'm going to grab the notes from another class to make sure I have it. Step number 2 is draw an arc, but make sure, please, that that arc is centered on the vertex of the pre-image. Vertex is a new word, yes? Yes? It's not a new word? Awesome. What's vertex mean? Do you remember? A point of what? The corners. Yeah, that. Yeah, so this is our vertex right here. Formally, here's the definition. Vertex. Well, I'm going to make it specific. Of an angle is where 2 rays start. This is their common endpoint. So the vertex of an angle is where those 2 rays start. They have a common endpoint. There's your vertex. So we need to draw an arc where the center is that point, and we're doing it of our pre-image, this one over here. Now notice it doesn't tell me how big to make these arcs, right? So I can just go ham. Okay, there we go. And there's my arc. I got to do the compass radius whatever I wanted. And I just want to make sure that that arc intersects my angle, both rays. So far so good? So far so good. 3, label the arc intersections. Can I have some labels, please?
Right.
And
It-
F. Using the same compass radius that you used right here for this arc, you need to draw another one. But center it at the end point of the ray you drew in step 1. Okay, so I'm going to scoot this down so you can see it. There's my ray from step 1. There's my end point. I'm going to draw an arc. I don't know how big I need it, so I'm just going to use up all the paper that I have. So that's step 4. Draw an arc.
This was
We can see.
3.
I'll scoot it down just a moment. So you're done with this picture?
Yep.
Okay. And let me zoom it in nice and tight here on the directions so that it's easier to read. So you're going to draw an arc with the same compass radius from step 2. But please center this arc on the end point from step 1. Label the intersection. Can I have a label? Z. I know you didn't see it, but I went and I labeled that intersection. I see some people straining with their necks, so I'm going to go ahead and scoot this up. Step 6. Set the compass radius to the length between, or the distance between, the arc intersections from step number 2. I'll give you guys a moment to copy it down, and then I'll show you which points it is. We're doing all right on time. Class gets out at 10:43. We are at 10:30, so we have 13 minutes. This should only take about another 10 or less. So we're in good shape. Okay? You'll see the directions again in a moment. Let me scoot this over so you can see where we're going to set the compass radius from, and then we'll come back to the directions. So there are the arc intersections from step number 2. And that is what I want to set my compass radius to. That distance. So set that now. Step 7 is to draw another arc. But please center it on the intersection from step 5. You're going to use the compass radius that you just set. So here's the radius I just set. There's that intersection from step 5. I'm going to put my needle on that to be the center of my arc, and I'm going to draw an arc. The only thing that I care about is its intersection with the arc we already drew. So I really don't care how big this arc is as long as I see that intersection. label this intersection. Can I have a label? G. Using your straight edge, draw a ray from the end point of step 1, so that original ray that you drew, and make sure that it goes through the intersection point from step 8. Here's my endpoint from step 1. Here's my intersection point from step 8. And I'm going to draw a ray. And because it's a ray, I made sure that it ended with an arrow. Just on one side. My vertexes aren't labeled, so label the vertex of each angle. So I need 2 labels, please. F. All right. Hey, Eliud, ¿me puedes dar nombre de un punto? Can you give me the name of a point, please? E. Okay. All right. I have a okay, I just looked back at my pre-image. We already have a point F on our pre-image, don't we? I can't use F in my image then. So I need to change this point to something else. Please give me another point.
A.
A. So this is my image. Measure it to confirm congruence. Now, what did you get on your original pre-image? What measure did you get in your pre-image? Did you measure it, the first one you did? Yeah? What'd you get? You got a 90-degree angle? Very nice. What did you get? Alexis, what'd you get on your first angle? 35. Beautiful. What'd you get, Jess? 30. Measure the image you just constructed. And what you're looking for is it for it to be an exact match to the one that you already drew. To your pre-image. Now, I've already done this 3 times today, and I haven't gotten it right each time. I've never gotten one where the measure was exactly the same. 3 degrees off? Awesome. If you are within 5 degrees, pat yourselves on the back. If you're within 3 degrees, I want you to go, I rock!
I rock!
If you're within 1 degree, would you go, booyah, I did it?
What about perfect? No.
If you're on perfect?
No, I just kidding.
Oh, man. Okay, let me see what I got. I got 40, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got an angle measure of 44 degrees. Booyah, I rock. This is the first one. All the rest have been way off.
Why do you always get better on the third?
Yeah, I get better. Usually by about 8th period, it's perfect.
The manly.
Yeah. You got it exactly the same? Really? Measure it again. Measure it again. Now,
I'm still doing it.
you're still doing it. Can I see this one, please? All right. On your homework assignment, you have the front, really simple. Use your protractor to measure and classify. And the back, you will need to do 2 constructions. They must be perfect.
I'm not perfect.
These angle measures, ladies and gentlemen, these angle measures must be exactly the same. They must be congruent. So I'm going to recommend that you do your original construction very lightly in pencil. Write very, very lightly. Don't press hard. Yep, on that side. And once you get them where they are perfectly congruent, trace over them in pen. So that I know this is my construction. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this angle, and they need to have the same measure. I'm telling you, this is 18 and this is 45. I recommend that you double check it, just because reasons. And if you get a different measure here, change it. All right. You guys are awesome. There is 5 minutes to the bell. Thank you very much. Tidy up, clean up. You can work on anything that you need. Have a good afternoon.
Let's see what I got.
Woo!